Flat Bar Fridays, here we are again. Today, I'll be answering your guys' questions off Instagram. Also, the tricks aren't gonna be that special today. I've been dealing with an injury, haven't skated for about a week, and today will be spent learning all my tricks and getting my balance back. Let's go. First, two questions. The real Smo 420, will I challenge John Hill to a game of skate? I'm down, but John Hill is really good. I think a lot of you guys might underestimate how talented he really is on a skateboard. Because in his vlogs, he may look like he's doing these crazy tricks, but he's not really trying hard. John Hill is a really, really talented skateboarder. Regan says, favorite rail trick, question mark. I like crooked grinds because for me, they're low effort. I used to have a boss that said work smart, not hard, and I try to apply that to skateboarding. Steven asks, when I was a kid, how often did I go through skateboards? I went through them probably every 2 months, but it was easier for me because sometimes I could do like a 1 month. And by the way, I skated all fucking day, every day, so my skateboards were garbage. You think about now, if my skateboard gets like a chip, then I'm gonna switch it out within a week. But back then, I needed to protect the skateboard, like I had to use it forever. And I had a hookup, because there was a store down the street. It's kind of like Sports Authority or Dick's or something like that, but it was called Copeland's, and they had blanks for $13, and that was a lifesaver if you're like a broke 15-year-old kid. Even a broke 15-year-old can find a way to hustle together $13 if you really want to skate. Caden 345 says, explain the new tattoo, question mark. I'm not gonna sit here and explain the whole story, but I said the next tattoo I get's gonna be huge. I really like the Japanese art. I don't like dragons, so I didn't want to get a dragon or a snake. If you guys haven't seen it, here's a picture of it. Brian asks, did I ever think I would make it this far in YouTube? Right now, I don't consider this very far. I consider this pretty average for a person who started when I started. Here's the thing. Now that you guys are watching YouTube, everyone's doing it. It's really popular. It's like the hot thing right now. But when I started it, it was still kind of whack and boring. And oh, that shit's not gonna ever like amount to anything. It was more of a hobby. And then money started getting involved and now everyone jumped on the bandwagon. But yeah, I thought I would make it because my timing was good and I never stopped. Even though my content when I first started wasn't anything special, I never stopped, which is why I have over 1,000 videos now. And even before that, I had 2 other channels that had a fuckload of videos too. So for me to make it this far, it's not surprising to me, but it's also, in my opinion, not that far when you look at some of the other action sports channels. Frankie says, what's the longest I've gone without skating? When I was younger, probably 18, 19, and 20, I was really, really on and off. Like I'd be on for 3 months and off for 3 months, on for 3 months and off for 3 months, which is kind of ironic because that was right after I was in my prime. I just really got burnt out. I always tell you guys, when I was really good, I fucking lived skateboarding. I breathed it, I slept it, I ate it. Whatever the fuck, however the fuck you guys say that, I only thought about skateboarding and I got really good really fast. And then eventually I got really, really burnt out, which I think happens to a lot of people. Even now, I get burnt out. I get more burnt out with YouTube because I'm constantly thinking about YouTube now that it's like my full-time job. But back then I was constantly thinking about skating. And I think, here's my theory, is that I just got burnt out. And then I'd be like, take 3 months off, go back 3 months, take 3 months off, find other hobbies. And now I think I'm at a pretty cool balance as far as other hobbies and keeping my mind occupied, keeping everything fresh and fun, so that hopefully I can do this for as long as possible. Come on. Jet says, what pushes you to keep making YouTube videos when you get so much hate? I think a lot of people let the hate get to them. And for me, the hate is almost a positive thing. It almost makes me more money and gets me more attention, which in turn makes me more successful. But even on another thought process, I don't get personal about that shit. If somebody says you're a faggot, you're gay, it's like, okay, some random person who would never say that in real life called me a faggot and thinks I'm gay. And it's like, okay, how would that ever affect me? But I feel like a lot of the younger guys, especially when you look at this huge like scooter trend that's going on now where scooters hate on me, I feel like if I make a video and I say scooters are fags, everyone gets really personally like, oh, ow, it hurts, he said something mean. And it wasn't even specifically to a person, it was to a whole like group of people. And I think that's crazy that we've taken this turn to where the internet now equals real life. It's almost as if someone called you a faggot in real life and fucking punched you in the stomach. If you look at some of the reactions these guys have, it's really like, I'm gonna type a whole paragraph and follow this guy and send him a DM. Like, these guys are really hurt. I've never in my entire fucking life ever saw something online and said, oh, I don't like that. I think I'm going to DM the person that made it and voice my opinion. Rather I would just go on with my life. But I don't know. The hate doesn't bother me at all. Aaron says, how many, if any, fights have you been in? I've been in fucking 9 million fights. I have scars all over my fucking hands and elbows, and I have one on my eye right here. I have one on my ear. The insides of my lips are all cut up. And that's not saying I'm a super tough guy, because I've lost plenty, and I've won plenty. But I was thinking about it the other day. I was talking to Schwug. It's almost impossible, in my opinion, to be out as much as we are as a skateboarder or as anyone, just to be out in the world and not get into fights a lot in this city. Because in a city like this, I imagine it's kind of like how New York is or whatever. Like, every city has their own vibe. And in this vibe, there's a lot of fucking people that are troublemakers. And even if you're not one, it's gonna come to you. And specifically for people with my mindset, you know, I refuse to be bullied. If somebody wants to fucking come over and bump into me and call me a faggot, like, I'm ready to go, no matter what. It's got me in a lot of trouble as a kid. But I think it's a Vegas thing. It might be a thing worldwide. It might be a generation thing. You know, I know a lot of people that I've met from other places that are in their late 20s that say, oh, I've never been in one fight. I got in an argument once, and I'm like, what the fuck? How is that possible? And then I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're a pussy now, but it's like, I think to myself, like, how is that logically possible? You've been alive on this earth this long and nobody's fucking tried to fight you at a Burger King? No one's ever just saw you in a Taco Bell and tried to cut you in line and then fucking you got into it? Like, it's so weird to me. And maybe it is just a Vegas thing because all my friends that live out here share the exact same opinion. Victor says, what do I think about Basquith getting back into skating? I like Basquith. He probably never quit. I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I do talk to Basquith maybe once a week just to say hi and catch up, and that's a cool dude. And if he's back into skateboarding, whatever makes him happy makes me happy. Really Dank Meme says, what's my favorite flat bar to skate on? I don't know, but I can definitely tell you right now, my flat bar is not very much fun at all. Number one, because I fucking suck today, and number two, because it's slipping and sliding all over the goddamn fucking place. Oh, almost took out the camera. Hector says, if I had to quit YouTube, what kind of normal job would I have? Before I did YouTube full-time, I did slot repair on slot machines throughout the city. I would drive around and fix machines whenever someone called me. And before that, I did security. So in the next month, I'm gonna go renew all my gun cards, and I might get my security card back just to have it. It's only like $100. And then maybe if I get bored with YouTube, or if I don't make enough money with YouTube, maybe I'll go back to killing people that skateboard on my property. No skating allowed here. Nick702 says, favorite fight of 2016. A fresh one on my mind is the Cub Swanson versus that dude Choi. And that shit was fucking amazing. If you guys haven't seen it, just type in Cub Swanson. I think his name is Doohoo Choi. I'm not 100%, but that shit was fucking awesome. And look at that fucking helicopter trying to ruin my video. What the fuck? Justin says, how often do I find it hard to have a relationship with today's girls? I look at this a lot different than some people, again, because I live in a really populated city. As far as I'm concerned, there's unlimited women out there. So rather than try to settle for one, especially right now when, you know, I'm not in that desperate state of like, oh, I'm getting old and I don't want to die alone. Oh no, I'm nowhere near that. I'm nowhere near that midlife crisis. I'm nowhere near that I need someone for structure to help me. As far as I'm concerned, I'm out here just dating. If the right girl appears, she appears. But there's also this weird thing in women today, which maybe that's what you were getting at, is they do this. Here's a quote I hear all the time, and I had this conversation with Asian John the other day. It was, they do this thing where they're like, if you can't handle me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. And all that is them saying, you know what, I might be a piece of shit, and I have no plans to improve anything about myself. And for me, that's a humongous turnoff for a woman, because as a man, I try, at least in some way, to improve myself every day. At the end of the day, I look at what I did and see maybe if there was something I could improve as far as, you know, anything, mental, physical, you know, decision-making, whatever. I don't go on Facebook and say, if you can't handle me when I'm blacked out drunk, then you don't deserve me when I'm a billionaire. It's like, no one would ever look at that type of phrase and say it's logical. So as far as I'm concerned, if these women last, they last. If not, it's on to the next one, because let's be honest here, there's a fucking billion people on Earth, and some random fucking, you know, narcissistic chick is not going to change my life in any way if I decide to move on to the next. What the fuck? Ghetto Bird 101, crazy homeless guy story. I have probably a million. There's a lot of homeless people here in Las Vegas, but one that comes to mind is, I don't remember what I was doing, but it was the middle of the night. It was like 1 a.m. and I was walking through a desert, like a super empty desert lot with just, you know, cactuses and shit. I'm walking through and this guy pops up out of like a sheet out of nowhere, and he really scares me. He's like, poof. And he's like, hey, you got any meth? I'm just like, fuck no, I don't have any meth. And he goes, all right, have a good night. And I'm just like, whoa, that's kind of weird. But crazy homeless guy stories, you could make at least 50 homeless guy stories a night. All you have to do is go downtown and hang out on a Friday, and you'll have yourself at least a handful of crazy homeless guy stories. AGD3 says, what's the best experience that you've had because if skateboarding, like with a trip or a funny moment or something like that? There's a million. There's too many to count, so I'll try to sum it up, especially now I don't have all fucking day to tell these dope stories. This would be a good question for the streams, twitch.tv/Ninja Lifestyle. But for me, traveling, one of the funnest parts for me is just seeing how different people act from different parts of the country. It'd be really cool if I could get out of the country and do the whole like, oh yeah, I like seeing other cultures. But for me, on a much smaller scale, just going to Ohio or going to San Diego or going to Arizona, I get to see, you know, a different culture, so to speak. For me, that's the most exciting part of traveling. Not the new spots, not, you know, the sleeping on the fucking ground or sleeping in a shitty motel. For me, it's, oh, I get to meet new people and experience new things and maybe learn something new. Aww. Elijah says, is it difficult to stay up to date on YouTube videos? If so, why? It is difficult sometimes for me because a lot of the time it's a one-man show as opposed to Andy or Major Crew. I'm not taking away anything from them, but if one person is injured or one person is sick or whatever, then there's a whole another group of people that can sort of take over. Whereas for me, if I'm hurt, it really cripples my YouTube channel as far as me trying to work double hard, especially think about now. I haven't been able to skate for an entire week and I'm falling behind, and that really hurts. If it was me, the filmer, the editor, and 2 skateboarders, I feel like it would be a lot easier to run this, but then again, there's more problems that I'm sure come about when you're dealing with that too. So it does get difficult, but anything worth doing in life is probably gonna be kind of hard. So I try not to complain too much. What the fuck is going on? I can't believe this. Bagel loves food. This is a long one. What age did you start to gain more wisdom when it came to skateboarding? I'm sure you had your favorite brands and skateboarders like everyone else, but at what point did you start to see it was pointless and more about self-improvement rather than what everyone else did or thought? I don't know when the exact moment was when I started to think like that, but I do know something that kind of pushed that idea further in my head, and it was this. I started skating with a lot of guys, one of them being Justin Fig, who they showed up to the park with either a really shitty board or no board at all. They would borrow a board that they've never skated before. They don't know how tight the trucks are. They don't have special bones bearings and special wheels and the special indies and the correct concave and the cut on the grip tape at the right spot and the risers and the rails and the cuff pants. They didn't have any of that shit. They just showed up randomly, any time of the day, grabbed any skateboard, and they were able to skate fucking amazingly. And for me, that inspired me not only to try to skate good with the skateboard that I had, that was fine-tuned to be exactly what I liked, it was also sort of a motivation towards a lot of this shit isn't going to matter. This guy can take any fucking skateboard and do the most amazing tricks, and if you have your skateboard and you have it all just perfect and the trucks are just right and the back truck is slightly looser than the front truck and you still can't skate as good as these guys, then the answer is clear. It's all about skill, not so much about the hardware. So that for sure played a part in me not giving a fuck about the best board or the best trucks or the best wheels. Somebody asked me last night, what kind of bearings do you have? Do you have those super nice Swiss bearings? And I said, no, I get Reds because they're 20 bucks. And they said, oh, I thought you make pretty good money. And I was like, well, yeah, I do make pretty good money, and I still choose to skate these bearings because, number one, they're meant to break. Number two, half these bearings come from the exact same fucking place. They're just rebranded a different way. And thirdly, it doesn't fucking matter. I get my wheels off eBay, and I still manage to somehow come out here day in, day out, and land new tricks. So am I just a magical fucking being? Am I just chosen by God? Or do I just look at skateboarding for what it is, a fucking piece of wood on wheels? Great questions today, guys. I'm super proud of you. Not a whole bunch of questions about, oh, how much dick do you suck? Oh, why are you gay? Because those questions have been asked millions and millions of times, and I'm gay because God made me gay. What can I say, man? That's just the way the cookie crumbles, or at least that's the way the dick gets jacked off into another guy's mouth. What do I know? Anyways, I am proud of you guys for coming up with some good questions today, and let me know what you thought of this format. I'm sorry I couldn't land any harder tricks. I could be a little bitch and blame the flat bar, but in reality it's my fault. I haven't skated and my balance is off and my switch game is fucking atrocious. I need practice, I need help, I need God. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next time, Kuna Matata bitches.